Last night was one of those nights that I woke up at 1:45 in the morning and instantly knew. You know how you know these kind of things? That I wasn't getting back to sleep anytime soon. It wasn't any one particular thing. It was just a weariness, a sadness, almost to the point of tears that just filled my being. Odd that I couldn't go back to sleep, but that was not to be had. Laying there, I was reminded of how we are a people that we love to mark time by events and by schedules. In the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks stranded on the island, do you remember that movie? He doesn't know how long he's going to be there, so he starts marking time on the walls of the cave, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. We are people that like to mark our days with our phones, with our calendars, whatever. And we mark them by events, a musical at school or a professional sports game, but something to look forward to. And right now, we don't have that. We don't know what to look forward to. We don't know how long this goes on. And I don't mean to say all this to remind you the things that push down on us, but rather to turn you to something that indeed can be counted upon, that is certain, and it's the Word of God. A few days ago, I shared with you a devotion from Psalm 46:10, "Be still and know that I am God." And one of the pieces of meditation I led you into was to say that, and each time to take away one word and to meditate on that total phrase, that total sentence. Now I kind of would like to do just the opposite, to take another verse and give you another way of meditating on the Word. The verse I have in front of me is Colossians 3, verse 16. "Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly." Can you say that with me? Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly. So here's how the meditation works on this one. You say it, but the first time you say it, you pronounce more loudly, with more emphasis, the first word, let. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly. And then the second time of saying it, you pronounce that second word with more emphasis. So let's just try that. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly. And now just ponder and muse over that word let. What does that mean to you? To me, when the word says, let the word of Christ, it's asking me to surrender. It's asking me to give permission, if you will, to invite in. It's a choice I make. We don't have a lot of choices right now. A lot of things have been taken out of our control, but this verse says, this is in your control. Give permission, surrender yourself to the word of Christ. So let's go back to the sentence, the verse. Let, and now emphasize the next, let the word of Christ, the word, the same word that called the universe into being, the same word that calmed the storms when the disciples were on the boat with Jesus and they were afraid for their life, the same word that raised the dead to life, the same word that spoke peace to the disciples that night of the resurrection, let that word, that life-giving word, that powerful word, that resurrecting word, let that word of Christ be in you. We have listened to the words of many these days, constantly listening to the news, constantly looking at news feeds. We've heard from doctors, we've heard from politicians, we've heard from news reporters, and they're all good words. I'm not dismissing that. But dear ones, there does come a time when we just need to unplug from all those words and let the word of Christ in, so that we can hear him. Back to Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God. How can his word be heard and listened to if we don't take time to just quiet ourselves in silence and solitude? And so back to the verse. Let the word of Christ dwell. Dwell. I love that word. The word dwell means to linger. The word dwell means to move in, to be there for more than just a moment. It means to inhabit, to establish this place of residence in our life, in our being, so that the word we read in the morning we carry with us the entire day. We muse over it, we meditate on it. To let the word of Christ dwell in us means that it doesn't leave us when we go about whatever we're doing in the day, but that word continues to permeate our being and our consciousness. Let the word of Christ dwell in you personally. This word, this life-giving word is for you, for me, for those you love. Let the word of Christ dwell in you. For God so loved you that he gave his only begotten Son for you, that if you believe, you would not perish, but have everlasting life. Come unto me, all you that are wearied and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Let this word of Christ dwell in you richly. That last word, richly. In the original language, the word richly implies not being shallow, not being on the surface, but something that's deep, something that's penetrating, something that's profound. And it fills every part of our being, our mind, our heart, our soul. We can't escape it. Let this word of Christ dwell in you richly, richly with grace and with love and with peace. Continue to wrestle with the word like Jacob wrestled with the angel until God blesses you. He promises that his word will not return to him void, without accomplishing the purpose. Don't let go of the word until God blesses you richly with that word, and he will, because he's never gone back on his promise, and his word never fails. Let the word of God dwell in you richly. God bless, and God bless those you love.